What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going over several tips to hopefully help you play better in the new queen boss locations and get the medallions more often. As always, if you guys do enjoy this video, find it helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you like to see more, comment down below which of the medallions is your favorite this season. Mine is definitely going to be the double jump one from Demon Debris. And if you guys would like to use my code in the item shop when getting anything, it is EvolveJake, and it is underneath the webcam at all times. So most of my tips for these boss locations are really not going to be that different from most other boss locations. Pretty much always in Fortnite, when we have a mythic or boss POI, a medallion POI, my main priority is just going to be to focus on looting up, clearing the POI, and then dealing with the boss afterwards. In this case, in Season 4, the queen actually won't spawn until enough bugs, hives, and the stashes have been destroyed. And opening these stashes will help spawn the boss faster, and you get loot for doing so as well. But with how long it will take to summon the queen and eliminate her, I wouldn't stress too much about trying to rush it and get it done as fast as possible. Most people are going to land on the stashes anyways, and so if you land somewhere else and then get more loot to kind of clean them up, I feel like it works a lot better. You put yourself in a decent position to win fights. That is my main priority when I land, is putting myself in the best spot possible to win fights, clear out the POI, and then deal with the boss afterwards. The areas with the queens and the bugs are incredibly chaotic. You have the bugs, the queen, music, and other players. So once you take out all the other players, it makes it a lot more manageable, and this will make everything a lot less chaotic and a lot safer. You know, no matter what, there's going to be bugs, no matter what, there's going to be music, and then the queen itself until you eliminate her. But the other players are like a variable that you can actually get rid of. And in my opinion, they are far and away the most dangerous variable. Like, sure, the bugs are annoying, the queen can be annoying, but they're really not that lethal. Your main priority needs to be the things that are actually most likely to eliminate you, and that is going to be the other players. In some cases, or in like some seasons, you can kind of play more to like rush the boss or rush the vault right away. Chapter 4, Season 4 was like this, where you could just kind of quickly get the boss, get the vault, and then get out of there. But with how these queen POIs play out, I think it's best to just play more for control. You can also just see the queen's HP once she spawns, so you'll know how likely it is she will be dying soon. If you know the queen is incredibly weak, then obviously you need to get pressure on whoever is damaging her if there are other players still in the area. But if the queen hasn't even spawned yet, or she's still full HP, you're really not on that much of a timer, and you kind of have more freedom to play and eliminate the other players. I think the biggest problem a lot of people run into is, one, the chaos is kind of overwhelming, but two, they feel like so rushed to try to get everything done that they play really sloppy and then make themselves like an easy elimination. This is definitely something that I myself have ran into a lot this season. Is I will be at a boss POI, there will be like one other player remaining with me, and they're just full shooting at the boss, and they haven't even really like cleared out the POI or anything yet, and then they make themselves an easy elimination. Another thing that really goes a far way once you've kind of cleared the POI is where you stand. I kind of want to stand somewhere that limits my exposure to other areas and also gives me some sort of cover. I don't want to stand out in the middle of the POI just like full shooting the boss. But once I have full cleared the area, that's when I will try to eliminate the queen. There really isn't too much to fighting her. Like, she's not a very difficult boss, and she's not a boss that really has mechanics like some of the bosses we had seen earlier in Chapter 6, like Night Rose or Daigo. She just sits there. She's a bullet sponge. You do damage. Eventually, she dies. The area around her neck will be a critical hit, so you get extra damage for doing so. But based on the angle you have or how her head is, it sometimes can block it. And it's not really something where I want to wait to make sure I get critical shots. If I can get critical shots, nice, but either way, you just want to kind of be mag dumping the boss the entire time, dealing your damage, and then eventually she'll die. Two items that I think work really well are going to be the bug blaster. You can get these from the hives, and then I believe the ranged bugs as well will drop them. This works pretty well on the queens, I think, and the fact that it doesn't really use ammo for any other weapon type is nice, because ammo can kind of be a problem or a concern in the early game if you had to fight off, you know, enemy players and bugs. Now the queen, you might be low on ammo, so I like using the bug blaster on the queen. I feel like it eliminates her decently quick, and ammo doesn't really need to be a concern of yours. Another thing that works incredibly good if you're able to get it is going to be the Swarm Strike rocket launcher. This will actually kill her incredibly fast. You can melt the boss down in just a few rockets. But this is something where it's like really up to chance. If the game happens to give me a Swarm Strike, like sure, I'm happy to use it, but I'm not going to walk around looting the entire area just hoping that a Swarm Strike falls into my lap before I start fighting the boss. If I get it nice, I'm not really focused on it or worried about it, or viewing that as like the only condition under which I can get the boss. While you are fighting the boss, like I said, you just want to be mag dumping her. She's not very difficult. There's not much to focus on. All the while you're fighting this boss, you need to just be more worried about third parties and other players sneaking up, because as I touched on earlier, those are going to be the main threats. The boss is not hard. The bugs are not hard. It's just the bugs and the boss and the music can create a chaotic situation where other players are able to take advantage of you being distracted. So mag dump the boss while you can, but keep your wits about you. There will be third parties coming most likely, and then there also may be players hiding in the area that you were previously unaware of. The visual audio setting and the sound effects tab can help quite a bit with being more aware of, enemy players on the way to you or around you. This is something that has always helped in these boss POIs because they're loud and chaotic, but there's also so much visual audio noise in these areas with like the amount of bugs and then the boss itself. But the things you really need to be keeping your eyes out on the visual audio is going to be player footsteps, player shots, and enemies gliding, because you do have a separate visual audio cue for enemies gliding. And I find that a lot of times in these POIs, third parties will come via launchpad because of the super launchpad being in the loot pool. When people land at other areas to third party the boss locations, they usually kind of loot up, get a pad, and then pad over. So anytime you see that glider, that's probably a fresh opponent coming into the area that you need to be aware of. Another thing that can kind of help you be more aware of where the enemies are going to be the bugs or the queen themselves. I kind of touched on before about how sometimes I'll be at this POI, going about clearing it, and somebody's already fighting the queen. It's really easy to kind of predict where those people are because the queen will be shooting at them if, they're shooting at the queen. If you're actively fighting the queen, she might not go and fight other people. But if there's other people in the area that are fighting her before you get there, she will be typically looking at them. And so you can look at where the queen is looking to kind of predict where the enemies are, or just the shots hitting her. And then the bugs themselves will often swarm other players as well. So if you see a lot of bugs in one area, chances are there's an enemy there, especially if they're like traveling consistently following a direction. I've had a lot of times where the bugs running up on somebody, the ranged bug shooting, or the queen herself will just give away an enemy location. And you can kind of use that to your advantage in these areas to kind of know where the other enemy players are. As I already said, though, when I am fighting the queen, I want to stand somewhere where I'm kind of limited on the angles I can be shot on. It could be tough in these POIs because they are kind of open, but either way, like being out in the middle is probably worse than being in one of the corners or one of the edges where you do have like a little bit more cover to potentially limit enemies being able to shoot at you. And that's just something that's going to go a long way and probably helping you win the fight or, stay alive if a third party does come. When you eliminate the queen, you will likely get A tier. If you've gotten a few eliminations, you've eliminated a few bugs, and the queen herself, I feel like I pretty much always get A tier by the time I've cleared one of these boss POIs. And that is nice because you get an A tier drop, which will have 2 shockwaves in it. Earlier on in the season, it basically gave you max shocks, which was like great to like get the boss, get the medallion, get the mythic weapon, get the legendary slurps, and get these shockwaves. So typically when I eliminate the boss, I obviously go for the medallion and the loot. This is something that, again, you kind of need to keep your wits about you with, because this is the time where a lot of those sneaky players will try to make a play. There's a lot of people that will wait until you eliminate the boss then try to like swoop in and grab the medallion. So I like to be somewhat close to the boss when I eliminate it. I don't want to be like across the POI, eliminate the boss, and then just have the medallion sitting there. This does leave you somewhat exposed, but me personally, I would rather just be able to grab the medallion and dip out if needed, rather than having to race somebody to the medallion that I just basically earned, And typically the medallion is my main priority when it comes to getting the loot. I would like to have the mythic weapon. I would like to have the slurp juice as well. But those don't feel as bad to me if an enemy takes it. If an enemy takes a medallion, I feel like I lost an ability for that game. I lost my double jump. If I have a slightly worse AR because the enemy took it, that's not the biggest deal to me. If I have slightly worse heals because the enemy took it, that's not as big of a deal to me. But that medallion is like, you know, irreplaceable in a way. And also, it makes it, the 2 movement medallions will make it harder for you to chase the person that took it. So that's another reason why I like really focus on getting that medallion. So I get the boss loot first, try to get to some sort of safety, see what's going on around me, and then I'll go for my A drop as well to get shockwaves. And then at that point, I'm probably going to go to the weapon bunkers, the exotic weapon bunkers, because you also unlock the ability to open these once you reach A tier. And so the boss POIs really set you up for an advantage this season. You get that medallion, you get the mythic weapon, you get your A drop, and then you also typically will have first dibs on getting the exotic bunkers, which have unique exotic weapon and then a lot of loot. So I would highly recommend going to the boss POIs this season, or at least going somewhere around them where you can maybe third party them, because the medallions are very good. And as I said, the amount of points you can get from this sets you up to like kind of carry that advantage through for the rest of the game, because the exotics are also quite good this season. But that is going to be it for this video. As always, if you guys did find this to be helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, comment down below which of the medallions is your favorite this season, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.